Okay, so AI, right. Everyone's talking about it,
Hmm.
killer robots taking over the world.
Mm.
I'll admit, I do love a good sci-fi flick.
Yeah.
But we're not going there today.
Okay.
We're talking about how artificial intelligence is already changing how we learn, especially at work, and more importantly, what it means for you.
Right.
So today's deep dive is all about cutting through the AI hype. We're diving into this HR Dive article, Putting People First, how L&D can lead AI transformation.
Yeah, and that's such a key point because, people hear AI and they think, oh, I'm not technical, this doesn't apply to me. But the truth is AI is increasingly impacting how companies are approaching things like, training, upskilling. Even just what skills they're looking for is being shaped by AI.
Totally. And the article really grabbed my attention right away with this stat. It said, most people are already using AI in their work more than they realize.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I'll admit my first thought was, not me, I'm not writing code or anything.
Right.
But then I started thinking, even if I'm not the one actively using some fancy AI tool,
Hmm.
it's probably working in the background of a lot of the systems I use every day.
Yeah,
Like those online learning platforms so many companies use now.
exactly. Yeah. Even just something like if it's suggesting courses for you or personalizing your learning path, even a little bit, chances are there's some AI at work behind the scenes.
Oh, that's true.
And then you get into things like, automating tasks, which a lot of workplaces are doing,
Right.
which then frees up employees for more, strategic, human-centered work.
So it's like this invisible force already shaping the employee experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I guess that doesn't mean we can just sit back and relax. The article talks a lot about this idea of upskilling to
Mm.
prepare for this AI-driven future of work. But, and this is reassuring, it's not about everyone needing to become a data scientist overnight.
Yeah, no, and I think that's where a lot of the fear comes in.
Right.
This idea that you need to be super technical to be able to, work with AI, benefit from it.
Right.
But what the article really emphasizes is this idea of what they call data literacy. Because really, AI at its core is about data, right?
Okay.
So being able to understand data, interpret it, even just ask the right questions about it, that's a skill set that's becoming more and more valuable.
That makes sense. So instead of picturing yourself having to write lines of code, maybe it's more about like being able to walk into a meeting and talk about what the data is telling you about, like, I don't know, customer preferences or how effective a training program is.
Exactly.
Okay, that feels a little less intimidating. It's funny, thinking about all this, it reminds me of when I first started using one of those AI writing tools everyone's talking about.
Hmm.
I was so excited thinking this was going to make me like super productive.
Oh, I'm sensing a story here. What happened?
Well, let's just say I may have asked it to help me come up with a new tagline for this very wholesome, family-friendly cat food brand.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, AI, work your magic. You know, thinking it'd be easy peasy.
Yeah.
What it spits back at me is perfectly palatable for your feline overlord. Okay, I'll admit, kind of clever,
I mean, that's pretty good.
but also like completely missed the mark on the whole family-friendly vibe they were going for.
Yeah.
But, it was a good lesson, though.
Yeah.
AI tools can be super powerful, but you still need that human touch,
Right.
that understanding of context and nuance to make sure it's actually useful.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's so fascinating about this whole L&D angle, because if you think about it, traditional L&D, with its long courses and this kind of one-size-fits-all approach, Right. it's kind of like trying to teach someone to drive a race car using a horse and buggy manual. Like, the basic concepts might be there,
Yeah, the foundation.
but the technology itself has completely outpaced the methods.
It's like we need a whole new approach,
Mhm.
right? And that's where this L&D reboot idea comes in,
Yeah.
which the article talks about a lot. It's not just about the AI tools themselves, but how we rethink approaching learning at work, period.
Yeah, and I think it's almost like we're moving from, this model of just-in-case learning.
Yeah.
You cram in all this information just in case you might need it someday.
Right, right. Just cram it all in there.
To more of this just-in-time learning where you're constantly acquiring new skills and knowledge kind of as you need it, and in a way that's directly relevant to your work.
Which, let's be honest, is so much more how we actually learn and retain anything, right?
Totally.
No more of those year-long training programs that leave you overwhelmed and, honestly, a little bit behind the curve before you even finish.
Exactly, yeah. Their article actually specifically calls out the need for, shorter, more agile learning modules.
Oh,
So think like bite-sized chunks of information that can be easily digested and then applied immediately.
that makes a lot more sense.
And this is where AI can really shine, I think, because it allows for that kind of personalized, on-demand learning experience.
It's like that personalized learning path. But it's not just about the format, right? If AI is changing what skills are even needed in the first place, L&D has to keep up with that too.
Absolutely. And this is where that idea of data literacy we were talking about earlier comes back into play.
Okay.
Because L&D professionals really need to be able to use data to understand, like, okay, what are the actual skill gaps within our organization?
Right. What do we need?
And then curate or create learning content that directly addresses those gaps. So it's about being strategic, not just reactive.
So it's almost like, I don't know, L&D is becoming its own data-driven department. Analyzing trends, figuring out needs, personalizing the whole journey,
Exactly.
which I kind of love. But, okay, I have to admit, thinking about all this change, even if it is good change, it's hard not to picture that big question,
Yeah.
are robots coming for our jobs?
Right. Yeah. It's the elephant, or maybe I should say the algorithm in the room, right?
The algorithm, I like that.
And it's completely understandable that people feel some anxiety about that. But I think the article makes a really important distinction here, which is that, it's not really about AI replacing jobs.
Well,
It's about AI changing jobs.
so less about us versus the machines, more about us working with them.
Exactly. Because, AI is really, really good at automating tasks, especially repetitive or data-heavy ones.
But they can process so much information.
Exactly. But what it can't replicate, at least not yet, are those uniquely human skills, right?
Right, yeah.
Things like creativity and critical thinking and problem solving,
Yeah.
emotional intelligence, the ability to collaborate and build relationships, like all that stuff that makes us human.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, but how do we even begin to prepare for this future where we are working alongside AI? It feels like a whole new world, honestly.
It is, and this is where I think L&D becomes even more crucial because it's not enough to just throw technology at people and say, okay, everybody go learn how to use this new AI tool.
Right.
It's about creating this culture of continuous learning within organizations where people feel empowered and supported to, embrace new technologies and develop those uniquely human skills they need to actually thrive in this changing environment.
So it's almost like L&D is becoming less about like delivering training and more about being this like strategic partner,
Absolutely.
helping individuals and organizations actually navigate the future of work. That's so cool.
Exactly. It's about anticipating those future skill needs, curating relevant learning experiences, and just creating a culture where learning is embedded in everything we do.
I love that. And actually, that brings us to another important point the article raises, which is the need for new and innovative approaches to learning design, right?
It's like
Yeah.
we're not just delivering content anymore, we're designing entire learning experiences. Exactly, yeah. And those experiences need to be, engaging and relevant and personalized. The article actually mentioned some really cool stuff like using, virtual reality simulations and gamified learning
Oh,
platforms.
wow. Okay, that sounds way more exciting than my average Wednesday afternoon webinar.
Right. It's about making learning fun again, which, let's be honest, that's how it should be.
Yeah. Okay.
But, I think what really stood out to me was this idea that, yes, we need people to be comfortable using AI tools, but more importantly, we need them to be comfortable thinking critically about AI.
So not just how do I use this thing, but what are the implications of using it? What are the limitations?
Exactly. We need to give people the skills to, question the outputs of these AI tools, to
Yeah.
understand their limitations, to use them ethically and responsibly.
Right, because AI doesn't have ethics, people do.
Exactly. The article actually uses this phrase that talks about, algorithmic awareness and, ethical decision-making in the age of AI, which I think is so important.
It's like AI, at the end of the day, it's a tool, right? It's
Yeah.
up to us, the humans, to decide how we use it and what we want the future to look like.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So, okay, for anyone listening who maybe still feels a little overwhelmed by all this, AI, learning, future of work, what's like one piece of advice, one small step they could take today to feel a little less lost and a little more in control.
Yeah, don't try to boil the ocean, right? Pick one thing,
Yep.
one skill you're curious about, one problem you're facing at work that you think, maybe AI could help me with this. And just dive in a little bit. There are so many resources available online, from articles like this HR dive piece we talked about today to, free courses and workshops. Start small, experiment, don't be afraid to ask questions.
I love that. It's about embracing that growth mindset, right? Be
Right.
open to learning and adapting.
Absolutely, because this is a journey and we're all on it together. And the more we learn, the better equipped we'll be, to navigate whatever the future holds.
I love that. Well said. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive. Hopefully you're feeling a little more informed and a lot less intimidated by AI and what it means for the future of learning. And remember, you're not alone in this. If today's conversation sparked any aha moments or burning questions, we want to hear from you. Connect with us on social media, shoot us an email. Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, happy learning, everyone.